Hello kids, this is Mr. Whisler with your video lesson of the day. Today we're going to be talking about the Battle of Antietam, the single bloodiest day of the war. Now, if you guys remember, the Southern strategy to win the war was to fight a defensive war and wait until the North got tired of fighting. And it was working up to this point. They were winning most of the battles in the East, and the South was getting very dismayed or gloomy over losing all these battles. Well, the Southern president, Jefferson Davis, decided that it was time to go on the offensive, so he wanted to attack Maryland. And he was hoping that another victory would convince France and Britain to help them, much like France did for us in the American Revolution. Go into Maryland and win, so France will join us. Yes, sir. Look what I found. What? Cigars. Two Union soldiers working as pickets or on guard duty discovered a bundle of cigars, and wrapped around them were General Lee's battle plans to invade Maryland. This was unbelievable. So they took these cigars and this thing to General McClellan, and he read them and he says, "I know exactly what to do." So Lee, on these plans, split his army up into 4 parts. And that's one thing you don't really want to do, is split your army up. But Lee was a pretty good general, and he knew he could do this. So he split his army up into 4 different parts right here. So what McClellan was, and the Union had 75,500 troops, and the Confederates only had 38,000. So they almost have twice as many troops. So McClellan was just going to, he says, "I know exactly what to do." All McClellan had to do was take his big army, start on one side, and overwhelm these split troops one at a time. Take this one, and then take this one, and then take this one, and take this one. And he would have easily defeated Lee had he acted. McClellan, though, never wants to fight. He's always too cautious. He probably thinks that the South have more men than the North because he has spies all over the place and they always exaggerate their numbers. He took too long to work his plan. He has the game plan for the other team. He does not take advantage of it. He takes too long. Lee figures out that something's wrong. He regroups and he blows his chance. So they end up fighting head-to-head. The two armies meet at Sharpsburg near this place called Antietam Creek. And it's the single bloodiest day of the entire war. 6,000 soldiers died, and another 17,000 are seriously wounded. So in one day, 23,000 casualties. Here's an actual photo of it. All these guys just like laying in this ditch here. Looks horrible. Here's a painting of it. Okay, here is an excerpt from a Union officer in his journal. He says, "In the time that I am writing, every stalk of corn in cornfields to the north was cut as closely as could have been with a knife and slain in rows, precisely as they stood in their ranks a few minutes before." So he's making a metaphor saying the soldiers are like corn. Because you can imagine a cornfield, there all these straight line of corn fall, and then the next line of corn fall. That's how the soldiers fell, exactly how they were. A lot of people died at Antietam. Now Lee, he's starting to lose this because they have twice as many soldiers, so he withdrew. And even though there was a lot of carnage on both sides, a lot of deaths on both sides, a lot of casualties on both sides, Lee left the battlefield, so that meant that the North won the battle. Lincoln ordered McClellan to destroy the rebel army, but he wouldn't go after him. And as you know, the president is the commander-in-chief, and if the commander-in-chief of the army tells you to do something, you should probably do it. So Lincoln is sick of McClellan, him not listening to orders, him not doing what he's supposed to do, so he fires him. You're fired. Why? You don't listen. Burnside, you're hired. So he hires Ambrose Burnside to be the head general. Now, if you look at Ambrose Burnside here, he has these big, giant mutton chop beard thing going on, which today they call them sideburns, but they call him sideburns because his name was Ambrose Burnsides, and it just kind of stuck, so the name Sideburns comes from this guy. Thank you, sir. Is it because of my sideburns? Lincoln removed McClellan from command and hired Burnside. Antietam had a profound impact on the war. It gave the North confidence because they had been losing every single battle, and now they felt like they could win something. It marked a change in Northern war aims. Remember, what was the goal of the North before the war started? The only goal they had was to get the country back together. After Antietam, Lincoln used the battle to take action against slavery. So now Lincoln is going to do something about the slaves. And that, my friends, is the Battle of Antietam. Here's your notebook. I want you to put this map on here, and I want you to draw out the strategy that Lee was going to use first and what McClellan was supposed to do. And I want you to draw a picture of the Union soldiers finding Lee's battle plans for Antietam and use word bubbles, and then write an article telling the story of the Battle of Antietam. Thanks, kids, and that's your lesson for the day. I hope you enjoyed it.